Welcome back to our fourth video on making clay texture pots. So first video, reference photo. Second, making your pinch pot. Third one, planning out with your pencil where things are going. And now we're going to talk about how you can start to add texture. So if you notice, I'm using the rectangle or the crocodile or the alligator skin as my example. I've kind of decided that I'm keeping this like linear pattern that I see and this kind of curved shape specifically that I see over here and kind of creating this bump element. Remember, you're abstracting. It doesn't have to look completely realistic, so I'm being playful with my design. So you also might notice at this point, craftsmanship wise, like I've got a lot of cleanup work to do in these areas, but for now it's about taking clay away, so subtraction. So in order to do that, you've got to use a loop tool, something that will cut clay away. We made these forms very thick. It's too thick to fire like this, so we have to take away clay. So your loop tool will have two different ends on it for you to choose from. You can use it in a way where you are just cutting, a little bit. You can cut a lot. You can also turn it to the side. So those ones I was cutting like this, straight. But if I turn it, look what happens to my line. So it makes a more narrow line. If I turn it just a little bit, it makes something kind of in between. So you have lots of options with these tools. This one has even more versatility because I can use the corner, I can use the big rounded area, and so you can make lots of different cuts with that tool. We want to do this when our clay is leather hard, which means that it is a little bit wiggly, but it's not really soft and wet like it was before. So I'm gonna hold it in one of my hands and I'm gonna start cutting away where I know I'm gonna have some indents. So I'm starting with my linear component here, just cutting with a line, and I know I wanna go deeper because I have a lot of clay to get rid of. You really need to cut into these. You can't do just little cuts like this and say that's enough because your piece will be way too heavy when you're done. So you really have to cut into it. All right, so now I'm going to where I created these other marks and I'm cutting down in. And in order to make that bump area, I'm going to the other side and I'm cutting in as well. And I'll slowly make it a deeper and deeper cut. Now, if you make a mistake, there are ways to put clay back, but for the most part, remember this is like a fun interpretation. It doesn't have to be really realistic. So you're just spending your time kind of cutting and shaping to create different textures on the surface. That's what this is all about, really forming it into some interesting textures. So here I just made a really deep groove. Remember I told you I wanted this to be rounded. So I can now cut just a little bit away right at the top here to kind of create that rounded form. If my clay is soft enough and I want it to be really soft, I can go in with my finger and kind of smooth it out. In my case, I kind of like the angular feeling that I'm getting, so I'm not going to do that with most of them. I might even go back and make this a little sharper too. All right, so the goal is that you will use your loop tool. You will go around, do a lot of carving. You might even notice that I have my elements carved right into that top edge. Sometimes it's nice not just to have the design on the side, but have it fade and go around to the inside of the form. I personally like that quite a bit. So I will continue to work on carving this form until I feel like I've taken away quite a bit, and then we can talk about more craftsmanship and final details on the surface.